Searching algorithms. Students, in our portion we have two types of searching algorithm. First is the linear search algorithm and second is the binary search algorithm. So firstly we will discuss about the linear search algorithm. In linear search, the item which we want to find or which we want to search from any data structure, that item we have to compare with each and every data element of the array. For example, in an array we have 5 elements, so we can compare the item which we want to search from all the 5 elements starting from the first location. If the match found, then we can return the location of that particular we can return the location where that item is present, and if the match is not found, then again we can start comparing it with the next element of the array. Now students, if the item is not at all present in the array, then we can either print the element not found in the list, or we can print location is equal to null or location is equal to 0. Now we can see these are the number of steps that are involved in the linear search algorithm. For that we can see the example. Suppose we have 5 elements. From those 5 elements we have to search the item. Now students, you have to note one important thing in case of the linear search. The elements are not sorted in the ascending or descending order. While we are doing the binary search, in case of binary search, we can initially sort the elements in ascending or descending order, and afterwards we can search the elements. But here there is no need to sort the elements. So suppose in this we have an example with 5 elements: 10, 5, 4, 3 and 2. So these 5 elements are present in the linear array, and suppose the item which we want to search is 5. So here item is equal to 5. So this 5 we have to search from the array. Now students, here this is the paragraph. Name of this algorithm is linear, while data means the linear array, and n is the number of elements in the linear array. So in this example n is equal to 5 because 5 number of elements are present in the array. Item which we want to search is again 5. Now students, we can see start with step number 1. Step number 1 is start. So we can start the algorithm with start. After this, step number 2, set x is equal to 1. So initially we can set value of x is equal to 1. After this we can compare the value of x with the value of n. So here x is 1 and n is 5. So 1 is greater than 5. No, this is wrong. So that means we cannot go to step number 8. We can skip this part and we can go to step number 4. Here it is written, if data of x is equal to item, then we can go to step number 7. That means if the data present in that location is equal to item which we want to search, then we can print element found at location and we can print the location where the item is present. So here data of 1. So data of 1 is, this is data of 1, this is data of 2, data of 3, data of 4 and data of 5. So here data of 1 is 2 and where the item which we want to find is 5. So that means 2 is equal to 5. No. Then we can skip again this step and we can go to step number 5. So here we have to increment the value of x by 1. So we can write x is equal to 2. Now we can go to step number 3 again. So step number 3 is here. If x is greater than n, again we can compare the value of x and n. So here x is 2. 2 is greater than 5. No, again it is false. Then we can go to step number 4. Now if data of 2 is equal to item, so here if data of 2 is 10 and 10 is equal to 5, no. Again we can skip this step and we can go to step number 5. Again we can increment the value of x by 1. So here now x is equal to 3. So 3 is greater than 5? No. Then we can go to step number 4. Here if data of 3 is equal to item, so here data of 3 is 5. And the item which we want to search is also 5. So that means now this condition is true, and if this condition is true, then we can go to step number 7 directly. So here in the 7th step it is written print element found at location x. So what it will print? It will print element found at location 3 because the value of x is equal to 3 where the 5 item which we are going to search is there. So we can print element found at location 3. Now students, if the element which we are going to search is not at all present in any of the location, so that means it will directly go to step number 8, and here it is written print element not found, or we can write location is equal to null or location is equal to 0. So again you can see this with the help of example. Suppose we have item which we want to search is 19. Okay student, so 19 if we are going to search, we are at this location, so afterwards we can increment the value of x is equal to 4. So compare 4 is greater than 5, no. We can go to this step, data of 4 is equal to item, no, because in data of 4 we have 4 value and item which we are going to search is 19. So mismatch, again we can increment the value of x, so x is now 5. 5 is greater than 5, no. Again we can come to this step, data of 5 is equal to item, no, because in data of 5 we have 3 and item which we are going to search is 19. So 3 is not equal to 19, again we can move to step number 5. So here step number 5 is 6 is greater than 5, because now x is incremented by 1, so 6 is greater than 5. Yes, 6 is greater than 5. So if 6 is greater than 5, then directly where we can go to the step number 8. So directly we can skip all these steps and we can go to step number 8. So here what is written? Element not found. So that means now we are going to print element not found. So this is all about the linear search algorithm. Binary search. Binary search is the algorithm which is used to search the data element from the list, but the condition in case of the binary search is the list should be sorted either in the ascending order or in the descending order. So before executing the binary search algorithm, we have to execute the sorting algorithm, and after sorting the elements, only then we can search the element from the list. Now students, in order to implement or execute the binary search, firstly we have to search the mid location of the list. So in case of binary search, by finding the mid location we can divide a list into two parts, and we can take only that part in which our item is there. If the item is on the second half of the list, so that means we can truncate the first part and we can directly start searching the item from the second part. So that means it will reduce the time of searching and it will reduce the long list into the half list, so that only from the half list we can search the data elements, and it will also save the time. Now students, this is the binary search algorithm that starts from this. So this binary is the name of the algorithm, and after this data means it is the sorted array from where we have to search the elements, lower bound and the upper bound. LB and UB stands for lower bound and upper bound. So lower bound is the starting position and upper bound is the last position of the element. Suppose we have the items in the list is 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66 and 77. So here this is the lower bound and this is the upper bound, or we can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are the positions. So at first position 11 is there and at 7th position 77 is there. So lower bound in this case is 1 and upper bound in this case is 7. And after this item means which we want, the data element which we want to search from this list. Suppose initially the item is 66. That means we have to search 66 from this list. After this location means the position where this item is present. So the position or the location where this item is present is 6. So this variable we have to search using this algorithm. Now students, in the binary search, if the element is less than the value of the mid, then we can move the position of lower bound to mid plus 1. But if the element which we want to search is less than the value of the mid, then we can then we can push the value of upper bound, or we can say end is equal to mid minus 1. That we can see with the help of example. Now you can see the step number 1. Here step number 1 means set beginning is equal to lower bound. That means the value that is in the lower bound, we can set that value into the beginning. So here the lower bound is equal to 1. That means we can set the beginning is equal to 1, and afterwards end is equal to upper bound. That means the value of the upper bound we can set into the end. So here the end is equal to 7 because the upper bound is at 7th location. After that we can search the value of mid. Now students, mid is equal to integer of beginning plus end by 2. That means if after calculation the result is in the decimal, then we can skip the decimal part and only we can take the integer part. For example, if after calculating the mid value is 1.5, then we can skip this part. We can only retain 1 in the mid element. Now students, see here if we are calculating mid, then mid is equal to integer part of beginning plus end by 2. That means beginning is here 1 and end is 7. So 1 plus 7 by 2 is 4. So mid is equal to 4. Now step number 2, repeat steps 3 and 4 while beginning is less than equal to end and data of mid is not equal to item. Students, these all steps will be executing only if the beginning value is less than the value of end. If the beginning is greater than end, then we are not able to execute these steps and the binary search algorithm will automatically stop. So it will only work when the beginning is less than equal to end. And also the data element which is in the mid will not be equal to the item. If it is equal to the item, then directly we can set the location is equal to mid. Then directly we can go to the step number 5 if these conditions are not satisfied. If these conditions are satisfied only, then we can execute step number 3 and step number 4. If these conditions are not satisfied, then we can directly go to step number 5. Now students, here you can see if item is less than data of mid, that means if the item which we want to search is less than the item which is present at the mid location, then we can set the end is equal to mid minus 1. But if the item which we want to search is greater than the data of mid, then we can set the beginning is equal to mid plus 1. Now you can see here mid is equal to 4, and now we can check this condition, beginning is less than equal to end. So here beginning is 1 and end is 7. So 1 is less than equal to 7, yes. Now we can check the second condition, data of mid. Data of mid means data of 4. So here the data of 4 is 44. So that means 44 is equal to item, no, because suppose in this example the item which we want to search is 66. So 66 is equal to 44, no. That means again this condition is not satisfied because 44 is not equal to 66. Then we can come to step number 3. Now here we can see the item is less than data of mid. So here the item which we want to search is 66 and the data of mid is 44. That means this condition is not satisfied because in this case the item is 66, that is greater than 44. So we can skip this step and we can execute the else part. So we can change the value of beginning is equal to mid plus 1. So mid is 4, so now the beginning is 5. Now the beginning is 5 and end is remains 7. Okay students, so after this we can come to the step number 4. Here again we can search the value of mid. Now mid is equal to beginning is now 5 and end is now 7. So 5 plus 7 divided by 2 is 6. Okay students, so after this we can again go to step number 2. So in step number 2 again we can check beginning is less than equal to n. So here beginning is 5 and end is equal to 7. So 5 is less than equal to 7, true. Now we can see data of mid is equal to item. So data of mid is, because now the mid location is 6 and at 6 66 is present and the item which we want to search is also 66. So that means now this condition is not satisfied because the data which is in the mid is equivalent to the item which we want to search. So we can skip now 3 and 4 steps and directly we can go to step number 5. So here if data of mid is equal to item, then we can set location is equal to mid. So here the data in the mid is 66 and the item which we want to search is 66. So if 66 is equal to 66, then we can set the location is equal to mid. So now the mid is 6. So that means 6 is the location where our item is present which we want to search from this sorted array. So this is how we can find the data element from the binary list. So students, you have to write these steps in the exams also. You cannot directly search and write the location only. You have to write each and every step with beginning value, end value, mid value, and after finding the mid, you can compare the value with the mid, and after that you can again change the value of the big and the end according to the conditions. Now students, we can see some other example with the same list. Now students, suppose we have to search the data element, that is item which we want to search from this list is 11. Okay students, so 11 if we want to search, then again we have to check the beginning. So here the beginning is 1 and the end is 7. Now after this we can find the mid. So mid is equal to 4. And after finding the mid, we can check the condition. So beginning is less than equal to, and yes, because 1 is less than equal to 7. After this we can check second condition, data of mid is equal to, is not equal to item. Yes, obviously, because the mid location is 4 and at 4, 44 is present, that is not equal to the 11 because we have to search 11 from the list. So we can come to step number 3 here. Item, if item is less than data of mid, then we can set end is equal to mid minus 1. So item is 11 and mid is 44. So this condition is true, then we can set end is equal to mid minus 1. So that means mid minus 1 is 4 minus 1 equal to 3. After this we can go to step number 4, set mid is equal to integer part of beginning plus end by 2. So now mid is equal to, beginning is 1, end is 3 divided by 2. So now the mid is 2. After finding the mid, again we can go to step number 2. Again we have to check the conditions. Beginning is now 1 and end is now 3. So 1 is less than equal to 3, yes. After this check the second condition, data of mid is not equal to item. Data of mid, now mid is at location 2. So at 2 location 22 is there. So 22 is equal to item, no. So that means this condition is again correct. So come to step number 3 again. If item is less than data of mid, so item is 11 and the data of mid is 22. So that means again this condition is correct. Then again we can set the value of end is equal to mid minus 1. Now value of end is equal to mid minus 1. So mid was 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. So end is 1. Okay students, and beginning is also 1. So again we can find the mid. So mid is now 1 plus 1 plus 1 by 2. So now it is 1. Now mid is equal to 1. Again we can go to step number 2. Beginning is less than equal to end. Yes, 1 is less than equal to 1 because here the end is 1 and the beginning is also 1. So this condition is okay. Now we can check second condition. Data of mid is not equal to item. Now this condition is false because data of mid is at first position, and at first position the value is 11 and the item which we want to search is also 11. So 11 is equal to 11. So that means this condition is false now. So we can skip step number 3 and step number 4 and directly we can come to step number 5. So here if data of mid is equal to item, then we can set location is equal to mid. Now the location is equal to mid and mid is at first location, so location is equal to 1 where our item is present in this sorted array. So this is all about the binary search. So after this we can check the time complexity of the binary search. Now students, time complexity means how much time is required in order to search the element from the list. So we can see the best case as well as the worst and average case. So in exams they will only ask you what is the time complexity of binary search algorithm. They will not mention whether it is a best case, worst case or the average case. Every time you have to write the worst case only, because if nothing is mentioned then only you have to mention the worst case. If it is mentioned then you have to choose the value according to the thing that is mentioned in your question. Okay students, so in case of time complexity, first is best case. So best case means if the item is present in the mid, that means that is the best case. Why? Because initially after sorting the array we can search the mid, and then the value will be compared with the value of the mid. If the value is present in the mid, then directly we can set location is equal to 1. That means if the item is in the mid, then we don't have to search the element in the list further. That means if the item is in the mid, then directly we can set the location is equal to mid. So that means the best case is big O of 1. So at first position or first time only we can get the value which we want to search in the mid. So that is the best case. And in order to show the complexity, we have to use big O. So these are the notations using which we can show the complexities, like time complexity, space complexity. Okay students, second one is average case and the worst case. Average and worst case. So for average and worst case, the value is same. Now students, you can see, suppose we have n number of elements in the sorted array from where we have to search the elements. So these number of elements, every time we can divide by 2. So how many times we can divide it by 2? That will be represented by x. So suppose these elements are divided 10 times, so we can write 2 raised to power 10. Okay students, so every time again and again we have to find the value of mid, and by finding the value of mid we can divide the sorted array into the number of parts. So that means the total elements are divided by 2 raised to power x, means how many times we are dividing that sorted list by 2. That will be represented by this x. So this is equivalent to 1. Now we can take log on both sides. So if we are taking log on both the sides, okay students, so what will happen? Log of 2x is equal to log of n. Now this is equivalent to 1, so we can write 1 into x is equal to log of 2n. Therefore it implies x is equal to log of 2n. So this much time is used, or this much time we can again and again divide this n number of elements, or we can divide the list with n number of elements. So worst and average case is log of 2n. So students, this is important. This will come in exams, board exams also. What is the time complexity of the binary search algorithm? So multiple options are there. Only you have to choose log of 2n if nothing is mentioned about the best case, average case and the worst case. After this we can see the advantages and disadvantages of binary search. Advantages and disadvantages of the binary search. So first advantage is it is a faster search algorithm. Students, binary search is fast search algorithm as compared to the linear search, because in case of binary search we can initially find the value of mid, and according to the value of mid we can divide the list into 2 parts, and only we can keep that part only where the item is present, and we can skip the part where item is not present. So again and again we can divide a list into subparts. So that means using this our algorithm is much faster as compared to the other algorithm. Next is the number of comparisons required in case of the binary search are less than that of the linear search. See students, in case of the binary search, the complexity, that is in the best case, is big O of 1. That means the item which we want to search is directly in the mid, so we can set the location is equal to the location of the mid. And the worst and the average cases are the log of 2n. That is much lesser than as compared to the linear search. So in case of the linear search, the complexity is more than log of 2n. So that means here the number of comparisons are less, because in case of the linear search, if suppose the item is present at the last of the array, so that means if the items in the array are 100, so we have to compare the item which we want to search with every 100 elements. So in case of the linear search, the time required is more. But in case of the binary search, if the array contains 100 elements, so initially we can divide those 100 elements into 50 elements, and only from the 50 elements now we can search the element. Again we can divide those 50 elements into 25, then 12, then 6, like this. So the number of comparisons in binary search are much lesser as compared to the comparisons in the linear search. Now after this, disadvantages. First disadvantage is sorted list is required. See students, in case of the binary search, if we want to search any element, then initially we have to sort the list by using any of the sorting algorithm. You can use bubble sort also. So sorting is required if we want to search any element from the binary search. Second one is calculation of mid is required. Every time we have to calculate the value of mid, and after calculating the value of mid only we can divide the list into subparts. So that means here the mid calculation is a overhead. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of the binary search. Difference between linear search and binary search. So students, these two are the search algorithms using which we can search the data element from the data structure. So first one is, in case of linear search, it works on both sorted as well as the unsorted array. Students, in case of the linear search, there is no need to sort the data elements in the ascending or the descending order in order to search the element from the list. While in case of the binary search, initially we have to sort the elements, only then we can search the data element from the list. Second is, there is no need to calculate the mid, because in case of the linear search we are only comparing the data element that we are going to search with the elements that are present in the list. If the match found, then the location will be returned, and if the match is not found, then we can start again with the next element. But in case of the binary search, initially we can calculate the mid using the lower bound and upper bound, and then we can divide it by half, and accordingly we can compare the data element with the value that is present in the mid location. So here the calculation of mid is required. Next one is, for large elements or for the larger arrays, if the element is at the end, then it consumes more time. So students, if the array is large, so that means for the large array we have to compare with all the elements that are present in the list. So in case of this, it is very time consuming process if the arrays are large. For example, we have an array with 1000 elements, and the element which we are going to search is at the 1000th location. So in case of the linear search, there is a sequential order. That means we have to start the comparison of the item which we are going to search with all the data elements from the first location. So for the 1000th element we have to do the comparison 1000 times. So that means for the large arrays it is time consuming, but in case of the binary array it is not time consuming. Why? Because by calculating the value of the mid, we can divide a array into subparts, and only we can search from the part where the item is present. So it can reduce the time process to find the elements from the arrays, whether it is small or whether it is large. Next one is, insertion is easily and can be done anywhere in the array. Why? Because here the data element which we are going to insert, that can be inserted anywhere, because the array is not a sorted array. But in case of the binary search, the array is sorted array. That means we have to apply the sorting algorithm if we are going to insert any element into the array, and after applying the sorting algorithm only we can apply the insertion algorithm. Next is, in this case the best case is big O of 1. So why the best case is big O of 1? Suppose in a list, if the item which we are going to search is at the first location. So that means first time when we are comparing the data element with the data elements present in the data list and the match found, then it will return the location. So best case is when the item is present at the first location of the array. So that is why it is big O of 1, because only one comparison is there in case of best case. And worst case is big O of n. Why it is big O of n? Because if we have n number of elements in our array and the element which we are going to find is at the nth location, then we have to compare the n times with the data elements present in the array. So worst case is big O of n, while in case of the binary search, best case is big O of 1. That means when the item which we are going to search is at the mid location, because initially we can find the mid and afterwards we can compare the item with the value of mid. So that means if the item is in the mid, so best case is big O of 1 and worst case is big O of log of 2, and that I have explained you earlier. Now students, after this, finding an element in the list by sequentially checking the item with each data element of the list. In case of the linear search, we have to search the item by comparing it with each and every data element that is present in the list. While in case of the binary search, we can find or we can search the data element by the value of mid. If the item which we are going to search is lesser than the value that is present in the mid, then we can decrement the value of end by 1, and if the value that we are going to search is greater than the value of mid, then we can increment the value of beginning is equal to mid plus 1. After this, linear search is also known as a sequential search algorithm, because in sequential order we are going to search the data element. And binary search is also known as a half interval search algorithm, because here every time we are going to divide by half we are going to divide the array by half. So that means it is known as a half interval search algorithm. So this is about the differences between the linear search and the binary search. Bubble sort. Bubble sort is a sorting algorithm which is used to sort the data elements or arrange the data elements either in the ascending order or in the descending order. So students, in our portion we have only one type of sorting algorithm, that is bubble sort. Now students, either we can arrange the data elements, the descending elements into the ascending order, or from the ascending order into the descending order, or in any order we can convert it into the descending or ascending. So this algorithm can change the elements into the ascending order. So that means this algorithm can arrange the elements in the ascending order. Now students, we can start with the paragraph part. Here it is written bubble sort data n. So bubble sort is the name of the algorithm, while data is the linear array and n are the number of elements that are present in the linear array. Now students, for example, we have 5 elements, 46, 36, 56, 20 and 1. So we have 5 data elements which we are going to arrange in the ascending order according to this algorithm. Now students, in a bubble sort we have 2 important things. First is the steps and second one is the passes. So we can start with the pass number 1, and within the passes there are number of steps, and each value we have to put within the bubble. So that's why this algorithm is known as a bubble sort algorithm. So in pass 1 we can start with step number 1. So firstly you have to start with step 1. So here step 1 is start, and after this we can repeat the steps 3 and 4 for k is equal to 1 to n minus 1. So k is equal to 1 to n minus 1 means n is 5. So n minus 1 is 4. So k is equal to 1 to 4, true. So this condition is true, then we can go to step number 3. Step number 3, set ptr is equal to 1. So initially pointer is 1. So pointer is 1 and the data element at that location is 46. So this is data of 1, this is data of 2, data of 3, data of 4 and data of 5. So this is how we can represent these data elements. Now repeat steps while ptr is less than equal to n minus 1. So ptr is 1 less than equal to n is 5, k is initially 1. So 1 is less than equal to 4, true. Then we can execute these two steps, that is A and B. If data of PTR is greater than data of PTR plus 1. So that means if data of 1 is greater than data of 2, then we can interchange the values of data of 1 and data of 2. So here data of 1 is 46 while data of 2 is 36. So that means this condition is true, then we can interchange the values. So we can write 36, then we can write 46 and other values remains same. After this you can see we can increment the pointer and now we can set the value of pointer is equal to pointer plus 1. So now pointer was initially 1. Now the pointer value is 2. Again you have to go to this step until this condition is true. Again, because this is the inner loop, once it is false only then we can go to the step number 2. And if it is true, that means we have to repeat these steps again and again until this condition is true. So now the PTR is true but N and KR remain same. So 2 is less than equal to 4, yes. Then data of PTR. Now PTR is 2, so data of 2 is greater than data of 3, yes or no, you have to check. So here data of 2 is now this and data of 3 is this. So data of 2 is greater than data of 3, no, because data of 2 is 46 and that is smaller than data of 3. So we can write this step as it is. So 36, 46, 56, 20 and 1 we can write as it is. Now we can come to step number 3. So again we can increment the value of PTR by 1. So PTR is now 3. So 3 is less than equal to 4. Yes. Data of 3 is greater than data of 4. Data of 3 is this and data of 4 is this. Yes. Then we can interchange the position. So 36, 46, 20, 56 and 1. Again we can increment the value of pointer by 1. So pointer is now 4. 4 is less than equal to 4. Yes. Data of 4 is greater than data of 5. Data of 4 is this and data of 5 is this. Yes. Then again we can interchange the values. So in step number 4 we can write 36, 46, 20 and here we are interchanging the values. So 1 and 56. So this is the end of pass 1 because in pass 1 we are comparing first with second element, second with third, third with fourth and fourth with fifth. So each and every element is sorted and at the end of this pass the largest element is at the end of the array. So here the largest element is 56 and that 56 is at the last location. So that means at every pass one of the element will be at the last location and in the second pass the second largest element will be on the second last position. Now students, after this we can come to pass number 2. So in pass number 2 initially you can see, now if you are going to increment the value of PTR by 5, so this condition is false, that means we can come out from this inner loop, then we can go to again outer loop. So students, you have to see here this step number 2 is for number of passes and this step number 4 is for number of steps that are within the passes. Because every time you are incrementing the value of pointer, so accordingly these steps are being written. Now pass number 2 again k is now 2. So k is now 2, so loop is 2 to 4. So this loop is correct, yes. Then here PTR is again set PTR is equal to 1. So pointer is 1, 1 is less than equal to, n is remains 5 while k is now 2. So 1 is less than equal to 3. Correct? Yes. So that means in this case there are 3 steps which we have to write within the pass number 2 because this loop will run for 3 times. Now in pass number 2 we can start. Initially pointer is 1 and 1 is less than equal to 3. Yes. Then we can come here. Data of 1 is greater than data of 2. Data of 1 is this and data of 2 is this. No. That means we can skip this step and we can go to step number 2. And as it is we are going to write here 36, 46, 21 and 56. Step number 2. Step number 2, in case of step number 2 we can increment the value of pointer by 2. 2 is less than equal to 3. Yes. Come to step A. Data of 2 is greater than data of 3. Data of 2 is 46. Data of 3 is 20. So 46 is greater than 20? Yes. So we can interchange the values. We can write 36, 20, 46, 1 and 56. Come to step number 3. Pointer is incremented by 1. Now pointer is 3. So 3 is less than equal to 3? Yes. Now data of 3 is greater than data of 4. Data of 3 is here and data of 4 is here. Yes. So that means we can interchange the value. So 36, 20, 1, 46, 56. Now again you can increment the value of pointer by 1. Now pointer is 4. So 4 is less than equal to 3? No. That means you can end the inner loop. So if the condition is false, then we can directly end the inner loop. So now students, you can notice in pass number 2, the second largest element is at the last, and according to the value of pointer, the number of steps are being written within the pass. Now in step number 1 we have the comparisons 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay students, in the pass number 2 we have comparisons 1, 2 and 3 only, because last largest element is at the end, so there is no need to compare the last element with the rest of elements. So after this we can go to pass number 3. In pass number 3 again we have to increment the value of outer loop, that is k is equal to now 3 to 4. After this pointer is 1, so pointer is set to 1 while PTR is less than equal to n. So while 1 is less than equal to n is 5 and n is 5 and k is now 3. So 1 is less than equal to 2? Yes. So again come to inner loop. If data of 1 is greater than data of 2, so data of 1 is 36 and data of 2 is 20. So yes, 36 is greater than 20. So we can interchange the values in step number 5. We can write 20, 36, 1, 46 and 56. After this step number 2, we can increment the value of pointer by 2. So 2 is less than equal to 2. Yes. So again data of 2 is greater than data of 3. Data of 2 is 36 and data of 3 is 1. So yes, the data of 2 is greater than data of 3. So we can again interchange the value. So 21, 36, 46 and 56. So that means after this this pass is finished, because now the value if we are incrementing by 1 of PTR, so 3 is less than equal to 2. No, that means the inner loop will end. So at this pass, at the end of this pass, the third largest element is at the third last position. Now we can start with pass number 4. So in pass number 4 again we can go to step number 2. Step number 2 here we can increment the value of k. So k is equal to 4 to 4, true. So PTR is again set to 1. So 1 is less than equal to n is 5. K is now 4. So 1 is less than equal to 1, true. So that means now in this step we have only one step. If data of 1 is greater than data of 2. So data of 1 is 20 and data of 2 is 1. Yes. So in this we can write step number 1 and we can interchange the value. So 1, 20, 36, 46 and 56. And after this if we are incrementing the value of pointer, then this loop will end, and again we can go to here step number 2. So k is now 5 to 4. So 5 to 4, now this loop is also false. So if this loop is false, then we can end the outer loop also. So student, this is about the bubble sort. So you have to remember important things. Firstly, you have to put the data elements within the bubble only, and you have to start with pass number 1, and each pass is having number of steps, and those number of steps depends upon this loop. So if this loop runs from 1 to 5, so that means in that particular pass you have 5 steps that you have to write. And this step number 2, k is equal to 1 to n minus 1, this will show the number of passes. So here in this case we have 1 to 4. At the start k is equal to 1 to 4. That means the number of passes are 1 to 4, means 4 number of steps. And these number of passes are 4. That depends upon the value of k. And the number of steps within the passes, that depends upon the pointer value. So this is how you have to write the bubble sort algorithm. Now students, we can see the complexity in case of the bubble sort. So how you can find the complexity in case of the bubble sort? Students, while in the past one you are comparing the data element, then at the end for the comparison, how many comparisons are required if the number of elements are 5? 4 comparisons are required. First is with first and second element, then second with third, and third with fourth, and fourth with fifth. So if the number of elements are 5, then number of comparisons are 4. So that means if the number of elements are n, then number of comparisons are n minus 1 in pass 1, and in pass 2 number of comparisons are n minus 2, because second largest and the first largest element will be at the last locations, and at the third pass comparisons are n minus 3. So this is how the comparisons are decreasing one by one. So how we can find the complexity? Complexity is written as n minus 1 plus n minus 2, because in the first pass we have n minus 1 comparisons, in second pass we have n minus 2 comparisons, in third pass we have n minus 3 comparisons, and so on, and second last pass we have 2 comparisons, and at the last we have 1 comparison, that you have saw in the example, previous example. So students, after this, how we can write this series? We can write it as n into n minus 1 by 2. So this is written as n square minus n by 2. Okay students, so this we can write as big O of n square. So we have to put the n which is having the highest power that we have to write within the brackets. For example, if after calculation we have n square minus n4 divided by 2, so that means we have to write big O of n4. So whatever is having the highest degree of n, that we have to write within the brackets. So here the complexity is big O of n square. Now students, if the complexity is asked in the question, in the exam, that you have to write big O of n square, but if the number of comparisons are asked in the exam, then you have to write n into n minus 1 by 2. If number of comparisons will be asked by the examiner, then you have to write n into n minus 1 by 2. If the complexity is asked by the examiner in the exam, then you have to write big O of n square. So this is about the bubble sort algorithm.